I'm Eric Lanask from TMC, and I'm here again with Vineeth Ram from Panduit. And we've talked a little bit about that unified physical infrastructure approach that Panduit is taking, and specifically in our most recent segment about power and cooling. But that, I think, naturally leads us to a conversation about one of the sort of hottest topics, speaking of power, green technology. And I know that's something that Panduit is looking at very, very closely.
Absolutely, Eric. Green means a lot of things, a lot of people, right? Really, for us, we focus on very tangible sort of elements of green. So, as you talked about the whole power, cooling area, and making a significant impact on that. And what we do is, one of the things we do in our sort of integrated approach is cooling conservation. So really, we do a great job of conserving the cooling capacity. So again, we improve the efficiencies and we drive that from that perspective. A lot of things we do are also around things like waste reduction, right? It's a pretty big part of what we do, whether it be the lean capabilities back in our manufacturing area, or whether it be all the way down to our product portfolio. So we actually have a variety of pre-packaged, pre-integrated, products that that are plug and play, if you will, in terms of our Connect portfolio. And that, again, has a huge benefit of reducing waste and improving the time to market, right? We have a lot of things around space utilization, right? So denser configurations. So the denser the configuration, reduce space, the lower the carbon footprint. So a lot of things that we do in our portfolio are around optimizing space. And whether it be our modular cabinet design, whether it be how we do our cable management and the pathways and routing them, there's a lot of pieces around that, whether we do from our zone cabling architecture for our Connect portfolio. That's again a very sort of an optimized way of saving space and being modular in design. And that not only does that save space, it's also very scalable. Another example of what we're doing from our data center solution perspective is we're building sort of scalable pod architecture, right? So each of these pods are scalable. So you don't have to go, if you have a 10,000 square foot data center, you can start with utilizing 3,000 square feet, right, in a smart manner. And then you can go deploy these repeatable pods, right, over time that allow you to scale. They are optimized, and they're based on reference architecture as well. So you get a lot of benefits around a variety of these capabilities. Then more importantly, right, we talked a little bit about some of the passive ways of working with our sort of Connect product portfolio and so on, right? Now let's get to the intelligent part of this. A lot of it has to do with monitoring of power, right? Understanding the consumption, provisioning of resources more rapidly, reducing downtime, right? All of these, again, are better utilization, right? They drive more and more better utilization. So a lot of this is again, where we are focused on. End of the day, that they sort of help to reduce the power costs. They help to make it more sustainable. They reduce the space consumption as well, and reduce the waste, more importantly. And all of this is what we mean by driving to a sort of a greener environment and a greener unified physical infrastructure approach.
How much of it really comes down to costs and just saving dollars, especially in light of the economy? I know we touched on the economy a little bit in our last segment, but when it comes to green and green technology, how much of that is being driven simply purely by costs?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a combination. The way I think about it is the short-term cost savings or long-term cost savings, right? So really, you call one of those, sort of cost savings. The other one is sustainability, right? It's long-term benefits, right? So really, I think it's a little bit of a combination. You certainly have a lot of corporations who are sort of socially conscious. They're doing the right thing from an environmental perspective, right, which is a little long-term oriented, and there is a little bit of pressure on everybody to do the right thing for the long term. But I would say definitely the intense focus is also on the short term. But the fundamental thing about all this is they need to become processes, right, that get ingrained into the organization. So what really happens is it becomes a process. You start executing it, and you start living it, and you start achieving the benefits over time. And that's kind of what we like to do. So when our approach of looking at all of this is to say, let's build in green into everything we do. That's what we are, whether it's how we manufacture products, whether it's our solutions that we deploy for our customers, and that's kind of the approach that we're taking, and that's how we're taking it to our own partner ecosystem, right, and our end customers as well. So whether it's short term, long term, you can drive it. Certainly, I realize that this environment causes us to be more short term focused, but hopefully this unified approach gives them a roadmap for a long term implementation plan as well. So it's not like they do something today and they're caught locked in. And this is another fundamental point I want to make sure that I mention to you, Eric, is when you talk about the physical infrastructure, it's got a useful life that spans multiple product refreshes, right? You could deploy a physical infrastructure for about 10 to 15 years, right? But typically, as you know, every switch is replaced 3 to 4 years, server every 3 to 4 years, etc. So what happens is your physical foundation has to outlast multiple generations of your logical systems environment. So really what you need to make sure is it's sustainable for the long term. And it survives it as well. So a lot of that unified approach we do is another future-proofing element, which again has a strong sustainability story to it, while meeting some of the current constraints that we have around being more efficient and reducing costs in the short term.
How much do some of the things that we've talked about here today play into your own facilities here in the Chicago area?
Great question, Eric. Panduit is a huge champion, of green, of being socially and environmentally, conscious and doing our part as a good citizen. We've done a lot of things in lean manufacturing and reducing waste, right, from our manufacturing environment. We're known for that. Now, one of the exciting things we're doing is we're building a brand new corporate headquarters. It is a LEED Gold building, so Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's probably the second or third LEED Gold building. We're going for the Gold certification, by the way, in the state of Illinois. And in addition to that, Eric, this is going to be based on the entire unified physical infrastructure approach, right? We're going to be deploying UPI-based solutions that span across the building itself, the building automation side, the factory, and the data center and the IT environment. We're working with the world-class partners in this endeavor, like Cisco, IBM, EMC, and Rockwell. And we're really demonstrating what a unified integrated approach to infrastructure in the form of UPI can deliver in terms of being relevant to the business, drive these benefits I spoke to you about in terms of power, cooling, and space reduction, future-proofing, and sustainability for the long term. So this is really going to be our living lab, if you will. It's going to be a proof point for the unified physical infrastructure. And it's really going to demonstrate Panduit's commitment, because we've made a significant investment. Panduit had a choice. Right? We could have just built a regular vanilla building, or we could have made this building that was, an environmentally and sustainable building with intelligent infrastructure. The exciting thing for us, we know we made the right decision because we know we're going to get the ROI, right? So once we get the ROI, the building's all paid for in a few years. It's going to be a great proof point for us. But hopefully it will also drive the direction in the industry across adopting these best practices.
I think there's no better way, regardless of what we're talking about, than to lead by example, and certainly seems that's what Panduit is doing. When does the new world headquarters open?
It's scheduled for opening in the third week of May. So we're keeping our fingers crossed on that, right? But third week of May, we're hoping to have a grand opening event, and we'll be sure to let you know.
Fantastic. Thank you. We've been chatting here with Vineeth Ram, who's the Vice President of Global Sales at Panduit. We've been talking about power and cooling and Panduit's approach to a unified physical infrastructure. Vineeth, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Eric.